It's not for everyone.
Yes.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning, bad weather, high winds, no references, just IFR. Basically, it's
Yeah.
all IFR.
Hi, John Michael, and welcome to Fly High.
Hi, Caro. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you, and it's a real pleasure to have you in the studio today. You're an offshore helicopter pilot at Northern Helicopter, right?
Yes, I am.
Can you tell us where your passion for aviation comes from? Why did you become a helicopter pilot?
Yeah, it's quite straightforward. Was raised here on the countryside, and we have once a year we have this fire brigade parties in the summer. And
Yes.
there was when I was 30 years old, there was a helicopter doing like this scenic flights over your village. And it was back then, it was Viking Helicopter Service with a jet ranger. My dad bought me a ticket, and I was seated next to the pilot up front. And off we went. We were parked before, like in front of big trees. So we vertically went up. My stomach turned around, and the guy was looking quite cool next to me, smoking back then, and sunglasses, the big ones. Weather was nice,
Excellent.
and then yeah, that's the story. Basically, from that point on, I thought maybe that's a cool job. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you were bitten by the pilot bug. We
Exactly,
say.
exactly.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
by real life experience. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have a similar experience. It was also in a park and with a practical vertical lift, and I was so impressed. I just thought,
Yeah,
wow, that's it. I have to be a helicopter pilot.
yeah. That's
Okay.
cool.
So can you tell us about the journey, how you became a helicopter pilot? Because it's not so easy, is it?
No, it's not easy at all. But I had a lot of, how can I say, like fortune. I applied for a job in the German army because I saw that basically the only chance for me to become a helicopter pilot, joining the forces.
Yes.
Initially, I wanted to join the Navy and fly the what was it back then, the Sea King for search and
Yes.
rescue, because I was born and raised on the North Sea coast, and I didn't know much about the forces. But I ended up in the German army, flying a Navy helicopter, but in the German army, and yeah, basically I passed all the tests, and they hired me in 1997. I joined them, stayed
Excellent.
13 and a half years, and yeah, you're catching me now. I think this month, 1999, I got my wings in March.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. So it's your anniversary.
it's a 25 years anniversary this month. Yeah, flying.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
And what have you done in your career up until now? You started in the army, and then what happened?
Yeah, I started in the army. I went on a nice shopper there, did many deployments. I was flying, I was 8 times in Afghanistan. I flew in Congo back
Hmm.
then with the U-4. And yeah, I was always married. We didn't have kids so far, and I always wanted a family. And my stomach and everything was time to leave. I couldn't imagine to do this job in the German army with family and kids. That would
Okay.
be quite unfair. So, best friend of mine from the German army times, he quit 2 years before me, and he joined Viking Helicopter Service back then here in Germany.
Hmm.
And he gave me a call, 2009, that they were looking for more pilots in 2010. So I applied, gave me the chance to join them. I quit my army job, and I was back home then.
Great. With Viking Helicopter, what were you doing with them?
I started off on the S plus, two A plus pluses, and a B model, mainly sea pilot transfer in the German Bight,
Hmm.
and the transport flights started for the wind farms. So we were flying our asses off the first years to the wind farms and with the sea pilot transfer.
Okay.
And we started this nearly the same time. We started offshore HAMS operation, initially with
Right.
S-76s, in cooperation with the German ADAC, the yellow ones. They were basically, yeah, we were using their doctor and nurse,
Hmm.
and we were hoist operator and flight crew. merging together for offshore HEMS operation, couple
Okay.
of years. So that was basically what I did there
Good experience.
in the first year. Yeah, it was quite a good experience. We got the 139s in our operation then. So I got a 139 type rating as well, became instructor with copter
Also,
safety.
you're instructor as well. Okay.
Yes, yeah. I'm a 139 single pilot, multi-pilot since 2015, basically.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay.
hmm
And then after Viking, what happened?
I went to heli service in
Mm-hmm.
Emden,
Mm-hmm.
flew the 169 and the 139 there, and I was basically offshore training captain because I joined them as a tier I, tier E
Mm-hmm.
already. So I got the 169 on the side as line training captain for all the hoist work offshore in the wind farms. I was a lot in the sim with the pilots for recurrent training and checking. You know the game. And then I was deputy nominated person crew training couple of years. And then I became the nominated person crew training in heli service for a little bit over 2 years. And I was with them like 5 years and 6 months
Okay.
until
And
last
then
September.
and
Yeah,
then last September you joined the Northern Helicopters.
exactly. I got the
Okay.
chance to go back to sea pilot transfer with a very nice roster. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
time for me and my family again. Got a 145 type rating. And now I'm flying sea pilots again with the mighty Airbus 145.
Excellent. Okay. So can you describe a typical day at work?
Typical day at work, we have standby all
Mm-hmm.
day. So basically, I can stay at home until they call me.
Mm-hmm.
I live like 35 minutes from the base. 90 minutes before takeoff, they give me a call. I need to come in for one flight or multiple flights, whatever it is. And then I drive to work, do the flight preparation, change into my survival gear, and off we go. Flight takes typically, it's from 45 minutes to 1 hour 30, usually,
Mm-hmm.
the length of the flights. And then it depends on a normal day without storm. We have like 2 or 3 flights, like
Mm-hmm.
average on day shift and or on night shift, because it's a 24/7 service we do. And then if the storm with some westerly, northwesterly winds kicks in, then we basically hot refuel and fly as long as we can,
Okay.
because all the sea pilots go by helicopter then,
Yes.
who before this sea state they go by boat, and around 1 meter 80, 2 meters waves they switch to helicopters,
All right.
and then we do basically every ship and more ships on more positions, and then it's flying around the clock.
Yes.
So that's a
Wow.
typical
So
day
you're
at
you're
work.
tra you're transferring a lot of people then.
Only sea pilots.
Only sea pilots. Okay.
Yeah. The sea pilots,
Wow.
we either pick them up from a ship, bring them back shore, or we fly
Mm-hmm.
them out to an incoming ship, or we pick them up on on an outgoing ship, bring them on an incoming ship. So everything is possible then. But it's just
Okay.
a sea pilot transfer service, what we
Okay.
do.
All right. So it must be quite challenging. I can imagine in the middle of the night when it's dark and over the sea, you
Yeah.
have not many references.
It's not for everyone. It's
Yes.
3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. It's hard. Bad weather, high winds, no references, just IFR. Basically, it's
Yeah.
all IFR.
Yeah.
It's a tough job then.
You need to be on your toes.
Yeah, but you grow into it, and either you like it or not. There's not
Yes.
much in between.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
hoisting at the rolling, pitching ships at night, luckily they're nowadays quite large, so
Mm.
it's not so bad anymore compared to the past. It's not for everyone. Let's see, you're very close to obstacles, and we have
Mm.
lower weather minimas. We can go out at night in 500 feet, and we can fly out in daytime in 300 feet
All
to the
right.
ships.
Okay.
So, yeah, we have an exemption for certain routes, offshore, of course. So that's we quite a tough thingy in storm at night. Yeah.
I imagine because if they only choose helicopters once the waves are a certain height, that means that the weather's pretty bad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But usually with the high winds, there's not too low clouds. So
Yes,
usually you
it's
can fly
an
at
advantage.
500 feet quite good.
A-
So
And night flying, do you fly with the goggles?
now we will
No?
implement the goggles this, I think, end of the year. We
Okay,
all go to the courses and we will implement the goggles.
so it's coming.
It's
Yeah,
coming now.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That
Yeah.
should make it slightly easier.
Yeah, I flew the goggles in the army, old ones, not the high tech we get now.
Hmm.
But for this offshore flying, for short phases of the flight, especially onshore, it will be beneficial. And it will be beneficial also because at night and in adverse weather, you have a nice horizon again, which
Yes.
you're lacking now. But at the ship, at the hoisting, that's all. Basically, you need to put the goggles away or look below them because that's still not. You cannot keep the position looking through your goggles
No.
on a ship at night. Everything is bright, lit up.
If you'd like to learn more, join our online ground school where dreams take flight.
Do you have a flight or an experience that is particularly memorable for you, either good or bad?
Yeah, I had quite a nice experience in my when I became the first time in the army, when I became an instructor pilot.
Yeah.
It was like on this course, when you are halfway through the instructor pilot course, you go on a check ride for emergency procedures. That's the first check ride. And they sent me out with a very experienced lieutenant colonel on this emergency check ride. And we were doing like 1 hour 30 flights. And at the last quarter of the flight, we were doing auto rotations into the woods. And we ended with a couple of one into the wind. So, and
Okay.
then after the last one, it all went very fine, very nice. He said to me that, okay, that was very nice. I'm very pleased with your performance. Now let's go back to the Army Aviation Training Center, Bückeburg. So I took off. I was quite happy. And en route, he said to me, emergency landing. And I did what we did last time. I did a 180 out of muscle memory, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
And I turned into tailwind.
Oh dear.
So
Oh.
we came down in tailwind, auto rotation, and I had a nice spot directly in front of me. So basically everything was looking good so far. And then he said quite calmly to me, okay, now please go around. And I looked at him and then I looked at my RMI and I said, I turned downwind for the auto rotation. And then we started back to Bückeburg and he said, and he looked at me and see, that was the biggest lesson today for you as a future instructor pilot. Everyone has only one brain. That's quite remarkable. I remember this all the time.
Yes, I think
To
when
keep
you experience it, it stays in your brain for the rest of
it
your
stays in your
career.
brain and you are not easygoing with these things anymore. So you need to know that what you're doing right now is very important and you need to focus when you are a trainer even more. And that was a good lesson, I remember.
Good. Okay. If you could go back in time and meet John Michael as a young boy, what would you tell him?
I definitely would tell him to pay better attention in school, to have it a little bit easier at the beginning.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's good advice. And
yeah, exactly.
what would you say to the young people today who are dreaming about being a helicopter pilot?
I think it depends a little bit about your motivation. It's a long and rocky road, especially if you go it the civil way.
It
A lot of
certainly
money,
is.
and you need to have a lot of passion, and you need to be driven by your motivation to become a pilot. And there are many motivations like helping people, EMS, whatever you want. If you're only money driven, I would say stay away.
Yeah, it's
But if you want to fly a helicopter, then fight for it.
yes, yeah, good advice. I like that. Fight for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's a rocky road.
It's a long, rocky road
It
for
is.
some. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have big respect for the pilots who did basically with all the financial hazards they have had in their first years to fight through that way and become a pilot and become a successful pilot and ending up where they wanted to be.
Yeah, I do
That's
too.
Yeah.
I do too, because if you're not passionate about flying, I think you can't make it.
Yeah.
I think that's the main driver, is being passionate about helicopters and flying helicopters that keeps you going, because it is, like you said, a very rocky road to get
Yeah.
there. But well
And
worth
even,
it. Well worth
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And even I'm, after a long night flying or a long morning and very tired, I'm still, sometimes you have a really nice sunrise, especially coming from offshore to onshore, and it looks so beautiful. And then you're also pleased again
Absolutely.
with these nice moments you have and
Yeah.
things you see and do, which everyone else can only dream about, right?
Yeah. It's magical.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely is. Yeah.
My best flights are early in the morning, or the last flight in the
Mm.
evening before the sun sets. The colors are always so beautiful. Usually the
Yeah,
winds calm down a bit, and it's I don't know. It's magic. It's
yeah.
magic.
The sundowners.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
it's very interesting to find out about your job and your daily activities. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
Good to know for the future is that helicopter pilots with ATPL, CPL, IR. IR is very important for everyone. If you want to have a decent job, you need the IR today, nowadays. And I think the market is opening up. Everyone is looking for pilots
It definitely
everywhere.
is.
And I think for the next 20 years, it's looking quite good for
There is,
everyone who has the certificates. Yeah.
yeah, there is a future for helicopter pilots.
For sure, for sure. And I don't see drones taking over everything immediately.
No,
Not at all.
no,
No.
no. I know I was working in, what do you call it? I can say it in French. When you're taking photos and surveillance and things like that, and when the drones came out, everybody was like, "Oh, great, we'll use the drones." But then they very quickly came back to the helicopters, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
things you can't do with drones, and they're
Mm.
limiting the time, and yeah, so
Oh.
there is still a market out there for that.
Yeah.
And I
The
and
purpose
I
is
don't
still
think
there.
these drones are going to take over. There is space for them, but helicopters will be around for a while longer.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to transporting persons, people,
Yeah.
and EMS.
Yeah, I think the technology is ready, but the mindset of human beings is not quite ready to get into a pilotless helicopter, which will fly you without a pilot. I think the mindset is not ready for that yet. But the
Yeah.
technology is advancing very quickly.
It's advancing, but I know from a test pilot I trained last year in the simulator
Yeah.
from EASA. He is involved in these drones transporting humans, the first drones certificates for flying in Europe. And he said their flight time is about like 5 minutes
Oh wow.
at
Yeah.
its max.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
they're
a
so
bit
high safety
scary.
margins. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they advance very fast, but they need completely different battery technology before they
Yeah.
can do anything close to helicopters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's a way to go.
There's a way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luckily for us.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's been great talking to you today. Thank you so much for taking a bit of your time to share your experience with us.
You're very welcome.
It's just been a real pleasure, Don Michael, and I will say see you soon, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. The helicopter pilot world is small.
Yes, it is a small world. And thank you to everybody listening, and goodbye.
Bye bye.